Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Hi, thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope. Well, okay, let's get through. Remember I think it was 12 days ago, actually, not last week. I did a story, headline, The Media Shaping a Dangerous Narrative Against Christians. Here, I'll play you just a little bit of that, just to refresh your memory.
There is an uptick in this kind of activity. Who then is behind it?
Yeah, well, we've spoken to experts like Lydia Khalil from the Lowy Institute, and she says there has been an uptick in activity from conspiracy theorists, far-right groups, self-described Christian rights groups.
So anyway, so I did that story 12 days ago. Obviously, what I'm saying is the media starting to shape this narrative that the big bad Christian, we're obviously on the right. We're obviously on the side of the neo-Nazis, apparently, because that's, well, I don't know. I don't even understand how that could be anyone's thought process. But anyway, so it looks like the media, if you want to hear something even crazier than that, and I think this supports this, we'll call it conspiracy. I think this supports this conspiracy that the media is coming after Christians. They're shaping a specific narrative, trying to paint Christians as bad people, trying to obviously portray the Bible as a book full of hate speech, and Christians as people who are, or narrow-minded people who are just believing in this hate speech and pushing hate in the world. So this headline here: UN expert, religious liberty must yield to LGBT demands. You must, if you're a Christian, if you're a person of faith, you must yield to LGBT demands. Look at these beautiful and brave people. A UN certified expert on sexual orientation and gender identity declared on Wednesday that religious communities must yield to the demands of LGBT persons to avoid charges of violence and discrimination. You have to do it if you want to avoid it. It's going to happen. The media is shaping the narrative. It's going to happen. It's not when. Sorry, it's not if. It's when. Freedom of religion or belief need not be incompatible with equality for LGBT persons, Victor Bolos has asserted in his address to the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, as long as religious groups accept the claims of gay and transgender persons. Religious narratives clashing with the beliefs and lifestyle choices of LGBT persons, however, are beyond the scope of the right freedom of religion or belief, said Bolos, who's dubbed by the UN as the independent expert, on protection against violence and discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. Predictably, this is written by Breitbart, so obviously they are very cynical of this article. Good on them. Predictably, the UN Council did not call on an expert in religious freedom to offer a counterpoint to the position of Madrigal Bolos. So it goes on to say, as a model for religious believers, Bolos held up the example of the voices. If you're here in Australia, remember we've got the Voice vote coming up. The voices and practices of inclusive communities, meaning religious groups that accept same-sex marriage and gender fluidity. Told you, it just doesn't end. It will never end until they have everything. Traditional believers such as Orthodox Jews, Muslims, Roman Catholics, and conservative Christians who offer a negative moral judgment on LGBT claims and practices stoke the flames of violence, discrimination, and exclusion, he suggested, which can have severe and negative consequences for the personhood, dignity, and spirituality of LGBT persons. In particular, Bolos voiced concern about interpretations of religious doctrines that place homosexuality and gender nonconformity within a course of immorality and sin, describing the power that such discourse can have on the social acceptance of LGBT people, particularly when propagated by religious and belief leaders. The problem that will be coming, I've said this before, they are going to rewrite the Bible. Now, I know some people go in there and say, oh, the West has already written the Bible. It's different having some different interpretations where people maybe don't agree on specific word meanings or something. They are going to completely rewrite the narrative, like the Chinese have, the Chinese Communist Party, I should say, forcing the church in China underground. This is coming. They've already been speaking about it at the World Economic Forum. Yuval Noah Harari has talked about how AI can create a quote unquote true religion. They will be able to write a better text than the Bible. Also, he was born a Jew, by the way, too. So this is their goal. They want to replace the Bible. They will claim they will mark the Bible as hate speech. I know I keep saying this. When people understand it will become hate speech. I won't say anymore, but you know what you need to do, okay? You need to keep the word in your heart. You need to keep a Bible on hand. The target of particular opprobrium in the expert's address. I don't even think I pronounced that right, but it's basically he wasn't impressed with this. The nation of Hungary, basically, because they passed a law in 2020 that effectively banned adoption by same-sex couples, applying a strict Christian conservative viewpoint to the legal definition of a family. Good on Hungary. The amendment altered the constitutional definition of families to exclude transgender and other LGBT individuals, defining the basis of the family as marriage and the parent-child relationship, and declaring that the mother is a woman and the father is a man. He's lamenting about this fact. And you notice that Hungary doesn't have the same issues with people standing up and seem to have this suffer from gender confusion as us in the West do. They don't seem to have the same problems with people running around saying, look at me, I'm now a woman because I've painted my face and I put on a little wig. Call me a woman. Call me Josephine. The expert underscored that the right of freedom of religion or belief must not be used as an excuse for violence or discriminatory denial of the human rights of LGBT persons. I don't agree with that. It can't be used as an excuse for violence. It's not a need to be violent. You're just speaking the truth, but there is never a need for violence. This is what the report stated, while failing to make the vital distinction between encouraging violence, which all major religious bodies reject, and refusing to accept the pretensions of the LGBT lobby. I'd also put it to you that we've seen with some of the protests going on, it's the LGBTQ rainbow, whatever they want to call themselves, community that are the violent ones in general. They are the ones which resort to violence. Anyway, throughout his address, in fact, Borlaug never referred to discrimination without appending it to violence, thus precluding the possibility of analyzing these distinct terms separately. Like I said, shaping the narrative for Christians, but all other religions that won't go along with the rainbow community. Examples of hate speech against LGBT persons, Madrigal Borlaug contended, including scapegoating them for controversies, positing them as a threat to the traditional family, and interpreting religious doctrines to exclude and promote violence and discrimination against homosexuality and gender nonconformity. According to criteria from the expert statement, the Christian Bible would be full of anti-LGBT hate speech and therefore would be unacceptable as a religious text. Did you hear that? The Christian Bible full of anti-LGBT hate speech. Did you hear that? According to this the UN's expert, the criteria from the expert's statement, the Christian Bible would be full of anti-LGBT hate speech and therefore would be unacceptable as a religious text. Friends, they are coming for your Bible. Don't worry about them coming for your guns. They're coming for your Bible. That's my opinion. That's where we're going. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
They just fuel a desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna stop me now. No more deals to be done. No more selling out my soul just to focus on the goal. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna hold me down. Got my eye on the prize, gonna set on the clouds and tears both sides. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna stop me now. No more deals to be done. No more selling out my soul just to focus on the goal. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna hold me down. Got my eye on the prize, gonna set it on